Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel, wishing you a happy healthy start to this Saturday morning over here as we get prepared for likely another few days of boringness until CPI data comes out on the 13th. However, Bitcoin did initiate a little bit of a short-term breakdown yesterday coming off of that economic data, and I wanted to follow up on what that essentially looks like over the next few days here, as essentially Bitcoin did break the bottom side of our 19,750-ish region, of which initiating target's a bit lower. That's kind of where we're at right now. What to essentially expect over the next few days leading into that next event. Other than that, wanted to subtly show my good old Instagram. Been posting a lot of Bitcoin trading and travel related content there. There is a link in the description below, and also Bybit still has their promotion going on. If you use the link in the description below for 0% fees on maker orders for both spot and derivative contracts. All right, sweet. So let's just jump into it right here. Follow up on the last 24 hours of price action, and basically what we're looking at for the past 3-4 days. Well, it was a range between about 19,750 to the bottom side versus about 20,500 to the top side. Obviously, that $20,500 top side was a target based off of the breakout from basically the same area earlier on in the week. And so the same thing kind of continues right here. Anyways, yesterday we were looking at a potential range resolution based off of low BBWP on very, very low term timeframes, like the 4-hour timeframe right here. Obviously, this is a volatility metric, which I probably should have mentioned there, but that was giving us a bias for an actual breakdown alongside stochastic momentum, actually all pointed on the medium and lower term timeframes to the south side. So in this case, we obviously did get the closure right there below 19,750, and targets to the downside now initiated from that. Of course, we did say that there was a bit of a bounce to be expected at the low 19s. I think that's where it kind of closed on Friday for CME, but ultimately, I suppose I would be looking for another move back onto the bottom side of the range here, anywhere within this territory that Bitcoin's essentially been operating in since the 19th of September, going all the way to the 3rd of October right here. Anywhere around those lows is fair game. I still would refrain from calling majorly new lows at this point until Bitcoin does close a daily, nothing less, only higher term timeframes, because we're talking about a big move below the bottom side of the higher term time frame range, about 18,100. In that case, probably looking at multi-$1,000 moves to the downside from there. Price targets into the $15,000 or $16,000 region are going to be very relevant at that point. But for right now, short term time frame is the name of the game. So there is a potential trap situation, as indicated by the X right here. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but if it were going to happen, what would a trap look like? Need to see a medium term time frame closure back above the breakdown point from yesterday, or preferably a daily in this case. At that point, looking at another move back up towards 20,500, the highs of last week, but really not much to be made other than that in this case. So where does that lead us into for right now going into the weekend? So a few things of note related to the way that CME closed on Friday. First and foremost, maybe not foremost, but first, and what I think is interesting, is incredibly low BBWP still on the daily. It has officially gone, or it's not that it's officially gone, but it's still in a contraction phase right here. So no signals based off of the volatility versus momentum signals have been initiated from that. But what we do have is a phantom drive of hidden bearish divergence right here on the daily time frame. It's actually not just on the daily time frame, it's also on the 2-day time frame as well, although it's technically unconfirmed as of right now, but certainly looks like it wants to be confirmed. And the 3-day will actually follow through as well, even though it's a time frame that I don't typically watch. I just don't find it actually works out all that well. Anyways, I think that coupled with the fact that daily stochastic momentum is gonna potentially turn down here over the weekend with any sort of a closure below 19,630. Those two players working together alongside an incredibly low volatility environment. Also, this indicator right here, just another volatility metric essentially at extreme lows, does suggest that this could very well have an extension on this move, especially if we do see all these things working in concert with each other. Again, hidden bearish divergence plus daily stochastic momentum turning down. Have to kind of be looking back onto the bottoms of the range maybe over the next week. But again, there's a CPI data coming out next week, I do believe it is. So that's probably going to run markets as it has been. It seems like this market's actually been mostly based off of economic data as of recent times. So what else do we have to get into as of here? Well, let me go back to this time frame, or actually let me go down to the lower term time frames, and let's now go reference spot price action. As always over the weekend, I'm not super enthusiastic about spot price action, but I suppose there is a trap situation here. Yeah, on spot, if you do close above about 19,800, a little bit above there, then I suppose I would be looking at this as a higher low and very likely to retest the weekly highs at 20,500 and probably beyond over time on that as well. But as of now, as long as it's below there, well, I still look at this as just your first sort of bounce attempt before likely moving back on to the bottom side of the range. Why is that? Well, a few different things. Well, if we put on our drawing tools right here, or hey, where's my, it's this chart. There we go. Fucking finally, man. If we were to go on over to stochastic momentum, we will notice on the relatively lower term timeframes, the 12-hour is going to be remaining with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 20,100 on a 12-hour closing basis. 6-hour timeframe also going to be showing downside pressure below 19,900. 4-hour time frame also going to be showing downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 19,650. 3 hours going to be showing, I believe, downside, or actually no, it might even cross up here with the closure above 19.4. And hourly is going to be probably up if I had to guess. Indeed, it is, as long as Bitcoin's above 19,530, which actually right now on spot it is about $20 below, but that's basically a sneeze. So what does that mean to me? Very, very short-term time frames, probably ebb and flow here. Might try a bit of an extension on the short-term bounce. Completely fine, doesn't really do anything, at least as far as I look at it, as long as Bitcoin's again below 19,800 on spot price action on at least a medium-term time frame closing basis, preferably higher-term time frame, because this is weekend price action after all. But with the medium and higher term time frames starting to turn back down around, and with CME starting to put in those drives of hidden bearish divergence, I do think that next week probably does try a little bit lower back on into this region right here. Probably another bounce attempt, somewhere around 19 even as well. But ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't take pleasure in stating this, but wouldn't be surprised to see something like this over the next few weeks. Bitcoin maybe comes back down here, tries for a bounce, blah 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 blah, does something very similar to what you saw in this segment over here, and then maybe tries a greater bounce from there. Back above 20,500 would look actually pretty good for a end of year rally. Still, probably into the mid, maybe even deep $20,000 territory. Obviously, anytime that Bitcoin gets to the bottom side of the overall daily range, though, there is the possibility that you actually see a full-on breakdown. Again, I define that with a higher term time frame closure below 18,100. At that point, we're very likely looking at big moves to the down. We're looking at continuation of the downside on the macro time frames, talking about the weekly, monthly, these sort of things right here. Until then, it should also be known that the weekly potential bullish divergence was, or at current price, is not relevant. It is no longer in the cards there. Bitcoin must be above about $20,000 for that to be relevant. And then also, and by the way, on CME, which already closed for the week, it's just simply not there. So unlikely for spot price action to do that. God damn it, I keep on drawing random bullshit here. Apologies, but maybe that's just what TA is, just a bunch of random bullshit, perhaps. No, well, maybe it quite literally is. I mean, especially when you go on Twitter, it's like, I totally understand I totally get a lot of the hate on technical analysis. I probably hate most of it too. Anyways, yes, I did want to also follow up on Dixie as well. So there was a potential local high going to be confirmed as yesterday on the weekly. This is not going to be the case. We did not close, or not we, but Dixie did not close below last week's low, which was the prior condition for confirming that, which was 111.5. It actually closed about $1.25 above that right here. So no, there will not be hit regular bearish divergence as of right now. Still could happen, over the next couple weeks, but for right now, it is still risk to the upside for Dixie, and probably putting downside pressure on price action for most risk assets on the other side. All right, sweet. I think that's a good place to be leaving off on this one. Is there anything over here that I wanted to address? Funding rates, are we getting anything of interest? Yeah, they're quite negative right now, so maybe Bitcoin tries a little bit of bounce. I suppose that potentially could play into a trap situation, but still, need to see actual closures above critical regions. Where's my open interest? Yeah, there we go. Open interest was really, really interesting this past week. I completely missed this on video, but it did pop up quite a fair bit here, all the way up to just north of about 10.5 billion as Elsa scoots around in the background. Her name is Scooter, by the way. I thought that was rather interesting. I did catch this one a bit later, but ultimately, what does it mean? Well, it means that a lot of people on leverage longed into that $20,500 region. That does mean that there can be a bit of an unraveling if Bitcoin wants to come back down to the range lows, of course. So you do got a little bit of rock fuel there. not a whole hell of a lot, but just looking for interesting stuff as of right now. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. I think this one's more or less cut and dry. Yeah, I think it's a good place to leave it off. Much love, take care, and see you hopefully soon.